Mountains, giants, clowns, oh my. Let's talk about these things, Smoky Pirates. But first, hit that subscribe button if you're not a Smoky Pirate, and hit that thumbs up no matter what you are. You know, just to help the captain out, you know what I mean? We're smoking all the way to Laughtale. Pack your bags, let's go. And also, before I start, somebody go tell Sanji to cook us some meat. I'm hungry. All right, let's go. The red line. For me personally, it's a huge reason why I started watching One Piece. Before I even seen a single episode, I watched a video on YouTube. A video from a man called Tekking 101. And I was hooked. Matter of fact, my first actual One Piece video was kind of like Tekking's, and it was talking about the geography as well. A video that I'm gonna remake in the future because my editing was trash, and still kind of is. Yeah, I know. I'm still working on it, guys. I'm doing all my stuff from my phone, so. But it is what it is. But anyways, what intrigued me was the entire world of One Piece. It did not seem natural. Like the fact that the red line splits the world in half. I mean, Reverse Mountain has streams that literally go up towards the summit of the mountain. That does not seem natural one bit. I mean, even the Calm Belt, a watery desert where there are no winds. I mean, I would be shocked if we found out that the geographic locations are natural and untampered with. I mean, look at Enies Lobby. This is a place that has perpetual sunlight with a giant sinkhole underneath the island. That seem natural? I think not. Now, because I believe the Red Line and maybe Reverse Mountain were built or either tampered with, I had to ask myself, why is this important? Well, first, to me, One Piece, when you boil it down, is a story about freedom, seeking freedom, and also the knowledge of the world. But more importantly, it's about the powers of the world and how they try to stop that freedom, or stop the seeking of knowledge, period, in general. And especially seeking of knowledge of the world itself. We see what happens when you get too close to the truth. You get obliterated. I say all that to say this. In a pirate anime where most people travel by boats and ships, the Red Line and the Calm Belt are enormous roadblocks to most people that want to travel the world freely. And in my opinion, they were deliberately put there as roadblocks, almost as a direct form of imprisonment. I want to expand on this for a second. Now, of course, the Straw Hats made it through Reverse Mountain, but most people do not have a navigator like Nami. I mean, there aren't really navigators like Nami, period. If you are not an exception in the One Piece world, you know, like strong characters like Mihawk and Silvers, if you cannot climb a 700 plus feet wall with your bare hands on some fish or tiger stuff, pretty much whatever blue you're born in is most likely where you'll live your whole life. I want to talk about things that I find weird about the Red Line, and I want to ask a couple what ifs, because I like doing that. Okay, first, I want to talk about how the Red Line is cut into sections or zones. And like the islands on the Grand Line, each section has their own season and weather patterns. Now for my what if. And this is a disclaimer to all my One Piecers that are not caught up. Now, these are for my people that are caught up. I've been thinking a lot about Devil Fruit Awakenings. I've been thinking a lot about Buggy's Devil Fruit, the Chop Chop, Paramecia, and we know that Paramecias have the abilities to change their environment when awakened. Now here's my what if. What if the previous owner of the Chop Chop, or maybe even the first owner of the Chop Chop, used his devil fruit powers to chop whole continents together? That sounds crazy, right? Let me expand a little bit more on this. What if ores, known as the continent puller, pulled these continents together? Now, there's huge speculation that the ore species was wiped out or exterminated somehow. Could they have been slaves that were forced to build this structure known as the Red Line before they were wiped out? I'll come back to Buggy in a second, but since we're on the topic of giants, I want to talk about another giant species. I want to talk about how the Red Line and possibly Reverse Mountain are connected to the giants of Elbaf. First, everybody knows that Oda Sensei was inspired by Norse mythology when he created the giants of Elbaf. So here are some connections between Norse mythology, the Red Line, possibly Reverse Mountain, and clowns. Well, first, let me go back to Buggy real quick. Buggy the Clown, right? Now, through the course of making this video, I learned that there are actually clowns in Norse mythology called cloynes. And I'm sorry, you guys, if I mispronounced that, but this is the way it's spelled. How do you even pronounce that O with the double dot on it? I don't know. But cloynes, sorry again if I'm saying it wrong, are evil demons that live in what? Mountains and caves. And their nose is actually red from the harsh cold. And their pale white skin is also from the harsh cold. Cloynes are known as tricksters. And the most known trickster, of course, being Loki, the god of mischief. You know, sounds a lot like Buggy if you ask me. It's revealed that the ruler of Elbaf is a person called Loki. I'm not saying Buggy is this person, but I want to keep talking about some more connections here. Let me keep on running with it. Let's go. Y'all know the connections between Shanks and Norse mythology. You know, Shanks being Tyr, the god of war, you know. And we know his connections with Elbaf. And add on top of that, his connections with Buggy himself, being childhood friends. And I'm also willing to bet that Buggy knows people from Elbaf, and he has connections to people there too as well. And all we know of Buggy is that he was born on the Grand Line. Maybe Elbaf is his hometown. I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying he's a giant or anything like that, but maybe he was born there. Now, before I leave the Buggy topic, I want to ask some more what ifs about everybody's flashily favorite clown. These are kind of crazy, but I have to ask them. Now, what if Buggy's devil fruit was one of the four gods? You know, the sun god, the forest god, the rain god, the earth god, right? We know Luffy has the Hito model Nika, and he is the sun god. And thanks to a video I seen from Dax Sake, he made a theory about Chopper's fruit possibly being the forest god. You should go check that video out. He makes dope stuff, man. He makes real dope stuff. It makes sense because Chopper's fruit is a Hito as well. Now, here's what I'm asking. What if Buggy is the earth god? So Luffy's the sun god, Chopper is the forest god. What if Buggy is the earth god? Maybe the Chop Chop is a hidden Hito. Huh? Let me expand on it a little bit more. Maybe I'm going off the rails. Don't click off this video. In fact, hit that like if you haven't already. What if it wasn't an accident that Shanks made his childhood friend eat this fruit? Huh? You see? Let me keep on going. This goes back to the Chop Chop potentially moving whole continents, aka Earth. And listen guys, I just think it's so weird that Buggy is the only Yonko that hasn't used Haki. You know what I mean? And he hasn't awakened his devil fruit. And since I've watched One Piece, I've always known Oda has plans for Buggy. But I'm just gonna leave all that Buggy stuff there, you know what I mean? I don't wanna make this sound like a theory video trying to cram something, and you know, these are just what ifs, just something to think about. Let me go back to making more connections between Elbaf and the Red Line. You see, in the Little Garden arc, Dory and Broggy once called the Red Line the serpent or snake, however you translate it, soaked in blood. The snake soaked in blood. Now for the snake part, that's referencing Jormungandr, the world serpent from Norse mythology. And again, I'm sorry if I butchered that name. Jormungandr is a snake that wraps around the entire globe, aka Midgard, and he bites his own tail. You know, almost like an enormous mountain we all know, called the Red Line. The Red Line wraps around the entire globe and comes to a full circle. Now for the second part, this part intrigues me a lot, the soaked in blood part. Could it be a literal statement? The stone, or whatever that makes the red line, is a reddish color. But could it be more of a figurative statement? Like maybe it took blood to actually create the red line. Or maybe blood was shed creating it. AKA years and years of slavery. AKA the Void Century. And that makes sense on why the world government wants nobody to learn about it. It's like, almost like, you guys don't need to know how we forced you into slavery and forced you to create these very same structures that oppress and restrict you to this very day. You don't need to know about that. Don't worry about it. Skedaddle. This brings me to the last topic, Reverse Mountain. When Dory and Broggy used their ultra extremely powerful attack called the Hikaku Sovereignty, a lot of people call it the Spear of Elbaf or Ocean Sovereignty, and how Big Mom and Kaido used it. Same attack. They said it's the only thing that cannot pierce the snake soaked in blood, aka the red line. Now to me this implies that either they or their ancestors have tried that attack before on the red line. Now here's something crazy. When I watched the anime, I noticed in the Reverse Mountain arc, in the episode right before they meet Laboon at the Twin Capes, when they're going up the mountain, there are these unique looking archways that are at the base of the mountain. And I started thinking, and I was like, to me guys, the design patterns on them, it looks very much like Nordic design. That's the first thing I thought. I was like, man, these things came straight out of Elbaf or something. And then I started to think, could the giants have been the ones to create the 4 passages that go up Reverse Mountain? Like, what if there was 4 groups of Elbaf giants that went to each blue and they combined their Hikaku Sovereignty attack and aimed it at Reverse Mountain from each blue and created 4 ginormous streams that shoot up the mountain. Maybe they did that on the other side of the red line as well, and they created a giant hole that leads down to Fishman Island. Maybe they're the ones that planted the Sunlight Tree Eve. Who knows? Now we're on the topic of trees. Let's talk about that a little bit more. There's speculation that Elbaf is the home of the treasure tree Adam. Oda has shown us bits and pieces of Elbaf. When he shows Elbaf, there seems to be what looks like the world's largest tree in the center of it. And it seems pretty obvious, right? Like, why would there not be a reference to Yggdrasil, the world tree from Norse mythology? You know what would be awesome? Like, imagine if the tree at Elbaf was the opposite of the sunlight tree. Like, the sunlight tree goes, well, it's speculated, it goes all the way up to Marijwal, right? And it goes right up, it shoots all the way up to the sky. Now, here's a great what if. What if the tree at Elbaf goes all the way down to the center of the earth? Or maybe not that far, but it just shoots down. You know what I mean? That'd be funny. And it would also reference the dwarfs, creatures that live underground. Like, maybe this giant tree is where they all live, but it's underground. Who knows? Maybe that's why Oda doesn't want to show us Elbaf. He doesn't want to show a giant tree with roots sticking up. You know what I mean? It would send the One Piece community into a frenzy. It's like, oh, why is that tree upside down? He doesn't want to show us that. Maybe that's why Elbaf hasn't been Buster called in the past. Maybe they have secrets of the ancient world or the ancient kingdom or the void century, but the government just can't Buster call them because they live underground. Who knows? Honestly though, the topic of trees in One Piece could be another video itself, and I might just expand on that in the future. I just want to end this video with a statement. Just a simple statement. See, the world government is almost like the people in our lives, trying to oppress us, trying to slow us down, trying to be haters. That's what the world government symbolizes in the real world. So here's a statement to the world government and all the people in real life that are like the world government. I just want to give you guys a giant F you. Sound the drums of liberation. We're headed to Laughtale whether you like it or not.